This will be part 4 of the Temple of Baal to be erected in New York, and the role and the relationship and the role that the Statue of Liberty has to the Temple of Baal being erected in New York, April the 19th on Times Square. April 19th is also known as the Feast of Moloch, which is a Canaanite god that was repeatedly denounced in the Old Testament. What you're seeing here is, and like I said, you can pause the video and read it for yourself, but these are some universal laws that God put in place for all people. For you must understand that the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, and they that dwell therein. So whether you are a child of God or a child of creation, these universal laws apply to all people. And in these universal laws, you see that God says there are some things universally that human beings cannot do, and if they should do them, they will defile the land. And because they have defiled the land, God himself will remove them as inhabitants. That can be found in Leviticus 18 verses 21 through 28. What you see here is some more pictures of what ancient Baal, Baal, Baphomet, Moloch, Marduk worship looked like. These images are images of a structure or a statue that was usually found in a structure that looked like this. This actually is the structure of the Temple of Baal that was destroyed in Belmari, Syria, August of 2015. But these pictures of Baal slash Baal slash Moloch are images of what child sacrifice would have looked like in order to bring forth or summon forth the favor of Baal. The Baal worship and Baal favor required or demanded the sacrifice of children. Here you have again, this is just part of the recap, another manifestation of the energy that we know as Baphomet, Baal, Moloch, Baal. And this is the manifestation in the form of an owl, which is allegedly set up at Bohemian Grove. As part of our recap, we have to look at Hammurabi and his role. Hammurabi is seen as getting a role right here, role from this entity, which is Shamash, Marduk, Baal, Baphomet. Again, he has about 50 different aliases, and but again, this is the energy or a manifestation of the energy that we today know as Lucifer or Satan. And so Hammurabi, who is I don't want to call him the counterpart, but he is to the Babylonian people. Hammurabi here is to the Babylonian people and the people of Mesopotamia. He is to them what Moses is to the Hebrews. He is the lawgiver. And where he says he got that law from, he got this law from Baal. Baal / Baphomet. Hammurabi is seen or imaged here with his hand up to his mouth as in a sign of prayer or in almost awe that this deity appears to him and hands him this roll and tells him to give this to the people, which Hammurabi history has recorded. That is exactly what Hammurabi did. He was the giver of, or the bringer to the people that would end up worshiping all other gods except the God of Jehovah Jireh. Hammurabi is the lawgiver to all those who would worship pagan gods. Now we come to part 4. The Statue of Liberty, its true identity, and whether or not it does represent Ishtar, Isis, Athena, and is the Statue of Liberty a representation of the daughter of Babylon? And is this daughter of Babylon Mystery Babylon of Revelation 17 and 18? And from here, I'll let the vision pretty much speak for itself. But the verses that come out of the King James Bible here is out of Isaiah chapter 47, verses 1 through 15. And the first verse is, I'll read, and I'll leave the rest to you. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. That's how Isaiah describes the daughter of Babylon. These are just the conclusions of verses 1 through 15. But we'll keep moving. Jeremiah calls her the daughter of Babylon in Jeremiah 50, verse 42 through 46. And Jeremiah has a prophecy or sees a vision of how the daughter of Babylon will have the judgment of God executed upon it. Here we see a plaque donated or dedicated August the 5th, 1984 by the Freemasons themselves, recognizing the Mason or the Mason hidden hand that was directly involved and responsible for the creation not only of the statue, but the base that it sits upon. And this dedication took place August the 5th, 1984, which is 100 years and 32 days after the statue is created in Paris. That's a really big roll. Remember the roll in Baal's hand that he was about to hand to Hammurabi? Remember the flying roll of Zechariah 1? Zechariah chapter 5, beginning at verse 1. Zechariah sees a vision of a flying roll. Then he moves on down in the verse 7, and he sees wickedness being thrown into the basket in the midst of the ephah. That ephah is a basket. And wickedness is thrown into in the midst of the ephah, and then a lid is put on it. Then Zechariah says, then lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, there came out two women, and the wind was in their wings, for they had the wings like the wings of a stork, and they lifted up the ephah, the basket, between heaven and earth. Remember, the woman represents wickedness. Then Zechariah says, then the angel talked with me, whether do these bear the ephah? And he said unto me, to build a house in the land of Shinar, and it shall be upon its own base. Remember the scroll? Remember the roll? He is the deity giving the roll to Hammurabi. Hammurabi gives the roll to the people. But the roll is seen as flying in Zechariah chapter 1. The roll goes before the woman to build the woman, a new home, or to find it a new home. A stark is depicted as a stark carrying a woman. It's two starks carrying a woman in a basket. Wickedness. And the flying roll goes before the woman to build it a home. Baal's handing Hammurabi a roll, the law of Baal, and it is the flying roll of Zechariah 5:1. It goes before the woman to find a new home. There's the home that it finds in the arms of the woman, which is the representation of wickedness. The great whore of Mystery Babylon. Must keep that in mind. And he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. America is a melting pot of peoples, multitudes, nationalities, and diverse tongues. The waters are peoples, nations, multitudes, and diversities of tongues. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth. New York City is the financial capital of the world. That is the reason, or one of the reasons, that so much focus on the destruction of New York has been put on by the outside world, because New York, or that whole eastern seaboard, is seen as the suppressor financially of the interests and the economies of the rest of the world. New York City is the financial capital of the world. Many people have said that ancient Babylon is who John in Revelations is speaking of. But I say to that, where's the ships and where's the sea? And every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off. Ancient Babylon then and now cannot be a fulfillment of this verse, for she, ancient Babylon, is landlocked. Again, ancient Babylon. Again, where is the sea? And every shipmaster and all the company in the ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off. How can this verse ever be fulfilled if the vision of John was that of what we now know as Babylon or of ancient Babylon? And the reason why John says that they're out at sea, one of the reasons is because of the costliness, the expense of being docked in the harbor. They're out at sea. They got all this merchandise out at sea because it's costly or expensive to be in dock at the harbor of this great city. Again, Babylon, New York. There actually is a city in New York called Babylon. This is the southern side of it. This is the northern side of it. Statue of Liberty sits right here. The UN, which will be part 5 of this, sits right here. Times Square, where the Temple of Baal is going to be erected, will sit about right here. So again, if a mighty angel is to throw a stone into the sea, that is to basically submerge Babylon, how can that be the Babylon in the pictures that we just looked at? But if Mystery Babylon is here, then all of this area, as a result of that stone being cast into the sea, will be submerged and underwater, and the fulfillment of that verse could then happen in a land and in a place where there actually is a sea to cast a stone to where Babylon shall be found no more at all.